Sometimes we go through life comparing ourselves to others, thinking that everyone else has it all figured out. But today we are going behind the scenes of being human. Hey lady, welcome to the Highly Sensitive Woman podcast. Do you struggle with self-doubt, setting boundaries, or feeling overwhelmed? My name is Alyssa, and I'm a highly sensitive woman who spent years trying to fit in, ignoring my own needs, and living in constant fear of disappointing others. But I finally discovered the power of embracing who I am, and now I don't feel so broken. In this podcast, you'll learn to find your voice, set boundaries, and live with bold confidence and inner peace. Grab a cozy blanket. It's time to connect with someone just like you. It is episode 16 of The Highly Sensitive Woman. Before we get into today's topic, I want to share a review from M. Bardak. This listener writes, a must-listen podcast for improving self-acceptance and confidence. Her warm and empathetic approach makes you feel seen, understood, and empowered to embrace who you truly are. Thank you so much for your kind words. Here at The Highly Sensitive Woman, we are setting boundaries rooted in self-acceptance. And part of that accepting is that sometimes you are cruising along and you are using your skills and you are just firing on all cylinders and life is just kind of smooth sailing. And then there's a moment where you find yourself in a valley. And maybe something has happened, like a job loss or a medical incident for you or a loved one. Maybe you're experiencing a conflict in a relationship. Or maybe you've challenged yourself to do something new and it was harder than you expected. And you find yourself in this valley, and I think there's this misconception that there's this magical day, and one day you just get it all figured out and all of the challenges go away. And when I think about it, I feel like as a former dancer, this analogy of life is kind of like learning to dance, or if you play an instrument or a sport, or you're learning any new skill. Right, you start out with the basic skills, and when you have a good grasp of those, then you move on to a more advanced class that has new dance steps that are more challenging. And there are days when you perform it beautifully, and then there are days when your body aches and your turns and your leaps just aren't quite landing the same. Doesn't mean that you're not still a great dancer, but it's just kind of an off day. Or maybe you just don't have the energy to go full out, and so you're just kind of going through the motions of your routine. Or perhaps you have a setback like a sprained ankle or a torn ACL, and you have to rehab, and when you come back, you have to relearn some skills that used to come naturally to you a couple of weeks ago, but now they feel like a challenge. Our brains are kind of like that too. We're cruising along, thinking that we have it all figured out. We're dancing to the new soundtrack, and then something happens, and we stumble. You know, maybe you do go through a job loss or some conflict in a relationship. Or maybe it's not because you stumbled from something challenging like that, but you find trying a new skill presents its own challenge. Challenging ourselves in a way we've never challenged ourselves before, our brains can freak out and those old patterns can resurface, and you find yourself kind of in a valley and you think that something has gone wrong because that part of you gets really scared of something has gone wrong or what could go wrong, and so it gives you all of the reasons that you shouldn't keep doing it if you're trying something new, or all of the reasons that you really don't have the skills that you thought that you had, or you really don't have the self-acceptance that you thought you had. You haven't made the progress that you thought you had, and you start to feel all of this anxiety and apprehension. And then other emotions come in like dread and frustration, or maybe you're feeling ashamed because that anxiety is back and you're not making the progress, and now you're going backward. And I just want to tell you that this is totally normal. Everyone experiences this. You know, I've mentioned before that we have all of these voices in our head and these parts of us that have become just ingrained in who we are, that they've kind of become the soundtrack of our lives. And when we start changing, it takes some time to learn the new dance moves to the new soundtrack that we are playing. So I just want to encourage you this week that when this happens and you find yourself maybe in a season of a dip or a valley, try not to freak out and just remind yourself that what is happening makes sense and that it's kind of like the stock market. When you have a dip, it's a dip, but overall, your progress is still trending upward. I hope this behind the scenes look into being human gives you a boost of encouragement to know that you are not alone, that we all experience some dips and valleys in life, and that when you experience some of those old thought patterns popping back up, that it could really be a good thing because it's a sign of growth, that you are challenging yourself and you are growing in your self-acceptance, and a stronger, more confident you is emerging. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may be feeling like she's broken too? I'd love it if you'd leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It brings me so much joy to know this podcast is helping you. Now it's time for me to stop talking and go soothe my senses in nature. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Take care.